Good morning to all and welcome to the session, the Hindu Editorial Analysis for Proficiency in English. Today's editorial is all about the new variant Omicron and the necessity to be still cautious. It is not over. It says we have to be cautious, and it's all about that. Besides the editorial analysis, today's editorial, you're going to work on important exam topics like errors, parajumble, fillers, phrase replacement, and as usual, editorial words. And today's editorial, not too many words, about 10 words, 10 to 12 words, and many of these words are quite familiar. Let us have a quick look at these words. The very first word I think we got in one of the questions yesterday, and someone was asking, so what is the meaning of the word amid? Amid means surrounded by, in the middle of, and someone was asking whether we can use amidst or not. Both mean the same. Amidst, both mean the same. What is the meaning? Surrounded by, in the middle of. Fatigue, excuse me. Fatigue goes with everyday English. It also goes with effective English. Obviously, that is the reason why it has been used. Fatigue means what? Extreme tiredness resulting from mental or physical exertion or illness. Usually, when you do a lot of work, you get tired, you get exhausted, you lose all the energy, you're sapped out of energy. Then we use the word fatigue. Perspective, we have got many a time. A particular attitude towards or way of regarding something. Nothing but perspective, somebody's view, point of view. Blanket lifting, this is a new expression and it is an idiomatic expression. What does it mean? In fact, it belongs to the field of medicine. Emergency method, which can be used when the casualties, injuries are not too severe and time is critical. In this context, time is critical. At the same time, something is not very serious. That means we still have to be cautious. Narrative, we have got many a time. A spoken or written account of connected events, or in a simply narrative means a story or an incident or an event. Underscore, it has got two different meanings. One, it goes with typing, underscore. And here in this context, to emphasize the importance of something. Magnitude, I think we have got recently. What is the meaning of the word magnitude? The great size or extent of something, the magnitude of the disaster or the virus, impact of the virus. Calamity, usually it goes with natural disasters, an event causing great and often sudden damage or distress. In a way, you can remember the word disaster. Secular, usually it goes with the constitution and not connected with religious or spiritual matters. India is a secular country, you all know that. Accelerate has got two different meanings. One meaning goes with a particular vehicle, accelerator. Another meaning in this context to speed up something. Even this word we have got many a time, trajectory. The path followed by a projectile flying or an object moving under the action of given forces. In this context, the direction in which the virus is going to go, trajectory. Credible, even this we got many a time, credible information, the typical combination, able to be believed or convincing. As when someone says something, you ask, is it credible information? And what is opposite? Incredible. Incredible means unbelievable. Effort has got two different meanings. One meaning, I can't afford something, means what? I don't have enough money to pay for. But another meaning, I can't afford to say something like that. That means if I say something like that, I may lose my reputation. I may land up in problem or trouble. Bear has got so many meanings. It can be a noun, it can be a verb, and there are so many phrasal verbs. And in this context, bear means endure, tolerate, an ordeal or difficulty. Usually it goes with please bear the trouble, means what? Please bear the delay, have patience, tolerate. Disrupt, you have got so many times. Interrupt by causing a disturbance or problem. Usually it goes with an event, activity, process, or supply chain. Expertise, even this we have got many a time. Expert skill or knowledge in a particular field. Someone has incredible India. Someone has knowledge, special knowledge in a particular field. Then we use the word expertise. Bear upon. As I said, the word bear has so many phrasal verbs. Bear upon, you can also say bear on. Bear upon is more formal. It means to concern something or be relevant to something. A familiar editorial, we have got so many words so many times. Everything should look familiar, everything is in place. And this particular editorial, very easy to understand. And it is not a lengthy one, a short editorial. And how does it start? How does it go about? A dose of realism. Here, the writer has used the word dose. Usually, the word dose goes with medicine. When it comes to someone is not well and someone has to take the medicine in the liquid form, we use dose. And you should not get confused with another word, DOZE. If the class is not interesting, you doze off. Doze off means what? To take a short sleep, not intentional, because of the boredom. Thank you very much, Prasad. A dose of realism. So it talks about what is a reality and what is happening. Some disturbance is there. What is the main idea of this editorial? Disease prevention with COVID appropriate behavior and vaccination is still necessary. This is the main idea of the editorial. Now, everywhere, the easing of the restrictions, ease off means not to be that strict, to bring it down. They are easing off the restrictions and schools are being reopened. In this present scenario, this editorial says disease prevention and disease prevention is still necessary. Subject is disease prevention, verb is still necessary, but there's a phrase. What is the phrase? Disease prevention with COVID appropriate behavior and vaccination. From day one, I have done so many editorials related to the virus. Almost for the last 2 years, we have been talking about COVID appropriate behavior and vaccination. Two things are very important when it comes to controlling the virus or escaping the impact of the virus. One is vaccination, obviously, that goes without saying. But the other one, equally important, COVID appropriate behavior, which usually a lot of people don't follow across the world, not only in our country, in a better, to some extent, better. In some countries, if you tell someone, it seems, if you tell someone to wear a mask, then they behave aggressively. They may try to attack as well. That way, we are very fortunate. So, disease prevention with COVID appropriate behavior and vaccination is still necessary. So, when you read the editorial, you understand why is it still necessary. It starts with obviously, it has to quote or cite the statement given by the World Health Organization chief. Now, when it comes to the World Health Organization, WHO chief, Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, in a recent briefing, noted that 90 million cases of coronavirus have been reported since the Omicron variant was first identified 10 weeks ago. As of now, as of now, what is the number? 90 million cases. So this is based on statistical data, and the source is World Health Organization. The World Health Organization chief Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, in a recent briefing, noted that subject is one thing. See where the subject is and where the verb is. In between, you come across phrases and clauses. Always remember, in the exam also, when you come across a lengthy sentence, it is not easy to spot the error. All that you have to do first identify the subject. After the subject, whatever the phrases and clauses you come across, put them in brackets, then ask for subject verb agreement. So, noted that 90 million cases of coronavirus have been reported. Why present perfect here? There is a clue. Whenever you come across a preposition since and for, do remember two tenses you have to think of. One is present perfect, the other one is present perfect continuous. In this context, we cannot use a continuous tense, so the writer has used Present perfect in passive voice. They have reported something has been reported. Here, 90 million cases have been reported. Present perfect passive voice. So it says, noted that the World Health Organization chief noted that 90 million cases of coronavirus have been reported since the Omicron variant was first identified 10 weeks ago. That's a number, daunting number, a little frightening. And also, you can think of the word formidable or frightening, scary. His statement comes in the context of many countries easing their restrictive movement measures amid public fatigue. There are two words, then first we'll see the meanings of these two words, then we'll go to the meaning of the sentence. What exactly does it mean? Amid, as I said, we got yesterday in one of the questions, means surrounded by. In the middle of something, we use the word amid. You can also use the word amidst. That is rather formal. And what is the other word? Fatigue. Fatigue goes with everyday English. It also goes with effective English. Obviously, that is the reason why it has been used. Extreme tiredness resulting from mental or physical exertion or illness. When you do a lot of work, you get tired, extremely tired. Then we use, in that context, we have to use the word fatigue. And this fatigue could be physical or mental exertion. Sometimes you think a lot and you rack your brains on something. Then also you get tired. Then also you can use the word fatigue. So his statement comes in the context of many countries easing their restrictive movement. Here there's one word, ease. Usually it goes with rules and regulations. It goes with restrictions. This is a context. It also goes with rain. Sometimes what happens, it starts raining, it rains heavily. After some time, you don't see the same intensity. Then you can say the rain has eased off. Ease off means, that is one meaning. Here, easing the restrictive movement. Initially, the movements were restricted to a great extent. After some time, slowly, they have started accepting or allowing certain things. In that context, we use easing the restrictive movement measures amid public fatigue. Why public fatigue here? It is not related to physical exertion. In this context, it is related to mental exertion. Imagine everyone, irrespective of the age, irrespective of the place, everyone staying indoors continuously for a long time, that puts tremendous pressure on an individual, and that results in fatigue. So it talks about the basic idea over here. We got to be still cautious, careful. And in the present scenario, if you look at the present scenario, many countries, many governments are easing off restrictive movement measures, and that is not advisable. That's what the editorial says. From World Health Organization's perspective, here you have about 4 to 5 words, important. Perspective, what is your perspective on a particular issue? Means what? Point of view. And there's another expression, this is an idiomatic expression that goes with the medical field, blanket lifting. Emergency method which can be used when the casualties, injuries are not too severe. Someone got affected, the injuries are not too severe, but the time is critical. So here, the impact of the Omicron and its variant, again, a new variant has come up, not too severe, but World Health Organization says the time is critical, and in this context, in the present scenario, it is not advisable to ease the restrictions. That is a stand taken by World Health Organization. From World Health Organization's perspective, the blanket lifting of restrictions, blanket ban is different. Blanket ban means complete ban of something. Here it has a different connotation altogether. The blanket lifting of restrictions poses a problem. So, as I said, we still have to be careful, we still have to be cautious. At this stage, easing of the restrictive movements and lifting the restrictions, definitely not a good thing, according to the World Health Organization. Poses a problem as most people appear to believe that Omicron is less threatening compared to previous variants, and that 2 shots of vaccines are an adequate defense against the virus. Now, why people are relaxed today? A lot of people are relaxed in spite of the fact that the virus is spreading like wildfire across the country, across the world. In spite of that, a lot of people are relaxed for two reasons. One, it is less threatening compared to previous variants, and that two shots of vaccines are adequate enough or adequate and adequate defense against the virus. So, one is it is not that threatening, the impact is not that severe. The other factor why people are so relaxed, this already a lot of people have taken two shots and they feel that is enough to act as a defense against the virus. Now, the World Health Organization's chief, what he says, he underlined that a narrative. Narrative, again, an important word. It has two or three meanings. One meaning, a spoken or written account of connected events, an incident, or a story. He underlined that a narrative, that preventing transmission is no longer possible and no longer necessary, had taken hold, and this was problematic. Now, the belief, two dimensions when it comes to the perspective or the belief. Preventing transmission is no longer possible. That means what? You believe now we cannot stop or prevent transmission of the virus. No longer possible. Second dimension, no longer necessary. No need to stop, no need to prevent, no longer necessary. Why? One reason, the perception. Already we have taken two shots. Another reason, it is not that threatening. This was false, according to the World Health Organization's chief. This was false. He underscored. There is another important word. Underscore means what? Emphasize. This was false. He underscored at the briefing. As the virus continues to evolve, and four of the six World Health Organization regions globally are reporting an increasing trend in deaths. When the virus causes deaths, then it is something one has to take it very seriously. Based on World Health Organization's report or the source, now it is causing, it says, many regions, how many regions? Four of the six World Health Organization regions globally are reporting an increasing trend in deaths. So we can't afford to relax. To substantiate, now this editorial, as I said, all about easing of the restrictive movements, and the World Health Organization says it is not advisable at this stage. We still have to be cautious. Britain, France, Ireland, the Netherlands, this is very important from the exam point of view, and Finland are on the path of easing COVID restrictions. In India, too, with current evidence pointing to a fall in the daily caseload, several states have moved to ease movement restrictions. Schools are being reopened. Schools are being reopened. World Health Organization has also said that the newly emerged variant BA.2 is as transmissible as Omicron, and that all measures needed to contain the original Omicron variant are applicable to it too. So there's a new variant, and this is as transmissible as Omicron. And the same measures we have to follow, we have to take to control, to restrict the new variant as well. After facing criticism that it did not move soon enough in 2020 to alert the world of the magnitude of the calamity that it awaited, World Health Organization, which takes a global view of the crisis, cannot be faulted for airing concerns from the evidence available so far. When this COVID-19, the virus, came into the limelight, the World Health Organization was criticized, you all must be knowing. Why was it criticized? People criticized the World Health Organization, saying that it did not alert the world immediately. It delayed almost, I think, 2 months delay was there, and that was a criticism. After facing criticism that it did not move soon enough in 2020 to alert the world of the magnitude, one important word, magnitude, the great size or extent of something, of the calamity, something that causes damage, devastating impact, a disaster that it awaited, World Health Organization, which takes a global view of the crisis, cannot be faulted for airing concerns. Now, this talks about the concerns aired by the World Health Organization. Editorial says we cannot fault the World Health Organization for airing concerns from the evidence available so far. It has also consistently warned that the pandemic cannot be over until all regions of the world are sufficiently vaccinated, and that economic inequity continues to be a driver of the pandemic. Now, according to the World Health Organization, we cannot relax or we cannot say the pandemic is over until all regions of the world are sufficiently vaccinated, and that economic inequity continues to be a driver of the pandemic. Today, in the developed countries, many developing countries, many people are vaccinated. But if you go to the African continent, a lot of people are not vaccinated. So, till we vaccinate the majority, we cannot say it is over, the pandemic is over. We cannot feel that way. The coronavirus, while secular in its infectiousness, affects nations differently. Different nations, different impact. And secular in its infectiousness. That means what? It does not discriminate anyone. I don't think the word secular goes with this context, but the writer wants to convey the idea. It does not restrict and it does not differentiate. What does it mean, secular? Not connected with religious or spiritual matters. How will the virus know? The richer ones can afford to bear the consequences. Can afford, in this context, afford means to have enough money to buy something or to pay for something. Bear the consequences means tolerate, endure, of disrupted social activity. The word disrupt we have got many a time. Disrupt means what? Interrupt the services, essential things. Social activity a little longer than the rest. Because they have money, they can afford. That is quite obvious. Just about half the world has been fully vaccinated. Half the world is fully vaccinated, has been fully vaccinated, present perfect passive, and half the world not fully vaccinated. Unfortunately, so far, the available vaccines, excuse me, the available vaccines are only equipped to protect against disease rather than infection. So this sentence talks about half the world is not vaccinated, and positive side, half the world is vaccinated. Unfortunately, so far, the available vaccines are only equipped to protect against the disease rather than infection. They cannot protect from the infection point of view, but they can protect against the disease. World Health Organization must use its influence to continue to encourage vaccination and step in with advice and expertise to help countries access necessary doses and bear upon governments to do more to meet vaccination targets. There are two words over here. One is expertise. What does it mean? Expert skill or knowledge in a particular field. And bear upon, the word bear, the verb bear has so many phrasal verbs. Bear upon means to concern something or be relevant to something. So, what does this sentence talk about? World Health Organization must use its influence to continue to encourage vaccination. That is very important. And step in with advice, an important word exam point of view. You have to recollect the noun form, the verb form. VISC is a verb form, VIC is a noun form. And expertise to help countries access necessary doses and bear upon governments to do more to meet vaccination targets. How does the editorial end? Framing the pandemic as a war that humanity must win was useful to accelerate the development of vaccines. It has been termed or framed the pandemic as a war that humanity must win. Today it is like more than a war humanity must win, was useful to accelerate, speed up the development of vaccines. However, science is not equipped yet to predict the future trajectory of the coronavirus. It has been changing, first one variant, then another variant, Delta variant, now Omicron, now another. The sentence says, science is not equipped yet. The word yet usually goes with present perfect to predict the future trajectory, the path of the coronavirus. COVID appropriate behavior, vaccines, and accessible health care remain the only credible defenses. Credible, believable, the meaning. And here, three things. Usually we talk about two things. One is COVID appropriate behavior, the other one, vaccines. And the third one, accessible health care. They should remain the only credible defenses. These act as defenses against the coronavirus. So, this is all about the editorial, a familiar one, not that difficult to understand or comprehend. And what are the questions you can think of from this editorial? What is this editorial about? You should write very important, whatever goes with the virus. What poses a problem from World Health Organization's perspective? Always focus on the key words, navigate, locate. You can write the answer. Which narrative had taken hold in the context of the editorial? A particular narrative about Omicron has taken hold. What it is, you have to write. Which variant is as transmissible as Omicron? Again, clearly mentioned in the editorial. What is useful to accelerate the development of vaccines? Something is useful to accelerate, speed up the development of vaccines. That's all about the editorial. Now let us go to practice questions based on exam topics. First five questions, error location. Read the sentences very carefully. All about the budget. Context is a budget from yesterday's newspaper. Should be able to spot the errors. Please excuse me. Usually the word yet goes with negative and negative interrogative context. For example, the bus hasn't come yet. The student hasn't come yet. The policy hasn't been announced yet. Not announced yet. The word yet should be at the end of the sentence. Haven't you posted the document yet? This is negative interrogative question at the same time negative. We use a term negative interrogative. Haven't you posted the document yet? So you can also use in the middle. Imagine someone asks, have they announced the policy? Yet to be announced. Yet to be announced. That is in passive voice. Even that is correct. Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman presenting her fourth budget and second one in a pandemic hit economy on Tuesday largely stuck to the broad script from last year. No, presenting nothing wrong here. Very good. Who is this? Bale Vinay. Vinay has got it right. Nothing wrong with presenting. It means what? While presenting, she stuck to something. Nothing wrong with the word presenting. I don't know why you guys have focused on. You have already learned when it comes to ordinal numbers. Before ordinal numbers, we have to use the definite article the. Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman presenting her fourth budget and the second one, that is the error. Before ordinal numbers, do remember we have to use the definite article the. The first, though exceptions are there. Here you may ask, sir, we don't see the before fourth. The first, the second, the third, the fourth. It depends on the pattern. Here there is a possessive pronoun. Then you don't have to use. You cannot say her the fourth. It doesn't make any sense. That's the reason why I tell students always remember we have rules, we have exceptions. How do you know that? When you read a lot, you get exposed to the language, then you understand. It depends on the pattern, depends on the context. This budget, presented on the 75th year of independence, sets the stage for an Amrit Kal, time of nectar, over the next 25 years, culminating in a vision for India in 2047. Exactly. 1947, 2047, 100 years. Need not be. As I said, it all depends on the context from last year. We don't have to say from the last year. Always remember there's so many combinations, so many patterns. Based on the context, you have to decide whether it is required, not required. Though there is a rule, you see in the same sentence, fourth, you don't see the definite article the. Second, you have to use a definite article the. That's a very good example. That's right. We have to respect each and every word, each and every sentence. And what matters, context is the king. I always say this, context is a king. Based on the context, everything changes. You have to understand the context, only then you will be able to. No, no, you don't have to go that far. No, nothing wrong with in 2047. Will you say on the 75th year of independence or in the 75th year of independence? What do you say? You don't say on the 75th. You have to say in the 7th. When did she present? Not on the 75th year, in the 75th year of independence. Here it is based on, question is related to preposition, appropriate preposition. You cannot say on the, on also can be used, but a different context. In this context, when did she present? In the 75th year of independence. Yes, that is the error. You got to respect every word, you got to read very carefully. The salaried and the middle class, however, got no direct relief in the form of tax breaks to counter inflation and the COVID impact on incomes and jobs. She presented something in the 75th year. We can say on also. When do we say? On the eve of the 75th year. That's a different pattern. Where is the error? Question number three. The salaried and the middle class, parallel expression, the salaried, the middle class, however, got no direct relief in the form of tax breaks to counter inflation and the COVID impact on incomes and jobs. Nothing wrong with incomes. Who is this? Yes, Prasad says no error. Here, answer is no error whatsoever. The salaried and the middle class, however, got no direct relief in the form of tax breaks to counter inflation and the COVID impact on incomes and jobs. Context talks about something that goes into the past. No error is the answer. And also, one more student says no error. Humor, that's right, no error. Please go to question number 4. Contact intensive services sectors such as hospitality that are also languish under 2019-20 levels did get a helping hand, very good expression, with the expansion of the existing 4.5 lakh crore emergency credit line guarantee scheme to 5 lakh crore. Why not impacts? Read the sentence, understand the context, then you won't get these doubts. To counter inflation and the COVID impact, the COVID impact, how can you say the COVID impacts? Yes, question number 3 is not easy. Services sectors. contact intensive services sectors. Usually we don't use a plural form here, but they are talking about contact intensive services sectors. It should have been service sectors, contact intensive service sectors, but that is not the error. I have brought this from the Hindu paper. I haven't noticed, but here it should have been service sectors. The actual error are also languish is not correct, are also languishing. It should be languishing, are languishing. Which tense is this? Present continuous tense. They are languishing. Here, the idea could be services, different services. Perhaps the writer wanted to differentiate. But the actual error, such as hospitality, that are also languishing, we should use present continuous tense, not that are also languish, grammatically not correct. This is a lengthy one. You got to read very carefully. Beginning her 90-minute speech with an expression of empathy for Indians who grappled to the health and economic impact of the COVID 19 pandemic, Mrs. Sitharaman invoked a verse from the Mahabharata before placing her tax proposals for 2022-23. Easy, not that difficult. Yes, yes, of course. Not regularly, rarely, once in a blue moon. We do come across errors, the Hindu paper, but sometimes they publish the very next day. Sometimes they do that. That could be because of the proofreader or the one DTP operator. Rarely. What is the idiom for rarely? Once in a blue moon. And not only that, see, languages are dynamic because of there's something called, you all have to know, modern English or current English. When we teach students, exam point of view, we say family members not correct. In the exam, you see a sentence family members, it is not correct. There's an error. Members of family. But in the newspaper, if you take the Hindu paper, they have been using family members. That means what? It's a modern expression. Exam point of view, we don't consider American English, we don't consider current or modern English, we don't consider conversational English or expressions. That you should always remember. Yes, very good. You guys have got it right. Right. Though it is a lengthy sentence, grapple to is not correct. It takes a preposition with, grappled with, based on prepositional combination. Members of family. We also teach students offsprings, not correct. It should be offspring. But in the Hindu, I've seen offsprings many a time. That means it goes with modern English or current English. Not that they are wrong. Languages are dynamic, they keep changing. What is the correct expression? But this is a little challenging in the sense so many options are there. Only the first one, first and second, or all the three, or one and three, you got to be very careful. At the age of 92, on September 15th, someone passed away on September 15th at the age of 92. On September 15th, exact date, time that goes into the past. Then you can use only one tense, that is, depends on the context. Here, only one idea, one clause you should use. It should be up to here. Don't consider this one. Past tense. So, who passed away? You can consider past tense. Who shall, not correct. Who will, already passed away. Who has passed away. Because the time is there, you cannot consider present perfect. Based on that, only one is A is the answer, only the first option. Good, that's good. A misogynist. A person who hates women. A misogynist is a person who is hating women. Certain verbs cannot be used in ing form. I am liking, I'm seeing, I'm hating. I like, I hate, I see. But depends on the context. See can be used, but the meaning changes. A misogynist is a person. Here it's a fact. To express a fact, you have to use present tense. Who are hating singular, you cannot use a plural verb. Here, this verb cannot be used in ing form, and this does not make sense whatsoever. Only the third one, based on that answer, is D. That's right. Ananya, this is a very good question. If you get this right, you should be very happy. I usually, when I teach regular classes, online, offline, I tell students this is very important. They have given in many competitive exams. And one of the reasons it does not go with what you have already learnt, and there's every possibility you think there's an error at a particular place, but nothing wrong with that. Time is there because time is there. We cannot use present. They have given in many exams. Present perfect tense plus time in past, independent time in past, wrong combination. Present, all of you remember present perfect tense plus time in past. Like I have seen the manager yesterday. I have seen the manager present perfect. Yesterday, time in past. That is absolutely wrong. Not at all acceptable. If you use preposition like since and for, you can use the time that goes into past, but independent time we cannot. That's a common error, Chandu. I hope you got it. We should never use present perfect tense plus time in past. Wrong combination. Who is this? Yes, only one student has got it right, I suppose. Chandu says no correction required. And after that, I see Sinha also says, that's right. Here, please listen very carefully. Usually, when we compare two persons or two things, comparative form, we use the word than. He is taller than someone. It is more beautiful than something. That is one pattern when it comes to comparison. No, no, please listen very carefully. But when it comes to comparison, there's another pattern. Another pattern, this is a pattern. In this pattern, there are two things you have to remember. One, you should use a definite article the two times. That is very important. They have given in many exams only one time. That is not correct. And the most important thing, already you have learned that definite article the goes with the superlative form, the tallest, the best, the biggest. But in this pattern, after the definite article the, we use a comparative form. Good, better, best. Better is a comparative form. This is a pattern, and that is the reason why I tell students when it comes to English, we have rules, we have exceptions. This is an exception. You have already learned there's a fixed idea. What is it? When we use a definite article, the, we should use a superlative form. Not always. In this pattern, we have to use a definite article the two times. The writer has used two times, and the adjective should be in the comparative form. Based on that, Ananya is the better of the two girls. No correction required. If you are talking about two books, this is the better of the two books. This is the better of the two books. And better. Very important and not easy. If you are not aware of the rule, you cannot spot the error. You will think the better. No, it should be the best, not always. There are two books on the table which need to be read before the exams, but neither one are interesting. This is again easy to answer, should not be a problem. There are two books on the table which, that is a question of the day. Yes, Ramesh, beyond any doubt. Question number 3, question of the day. 2019-20. Now consolidating. Okay, that's very good. That's great. Consolidation always helps when it comes to competitive exams because you have to learn so much. Every day you are bombarded with so much information and there's no choice. It is like Hobson's choice. You have to focus, squeeze in some time to consolidate whatever you learn. Neither one is interesting. We cannot say has interested, were not correct, are not correct. So what is the answer? Neither one is interesting. Here, second one. Only the second one. Where is it? C is the answer. This is easy, should not be a problem. Now you have Jumble from an international magazine, The Economist, unfamiliar context, unfamiliar names. Try to read very carefully and try to get the first sentence first, the first sentence. Perhaps you can consider this, you can consider this, that would go on, you cannot, and you cannot. Whatever you cannot, first you eliminate. Then you try to get the first sentence or the topic sentence. Today I have brought only 4 questions based on phrase replacement. So you got all the 4 correct. That's good. Yes, today we are bombarded with so much information day in and day out, round the clock. Plethora of information. So many sources, plethora of sources. One is D. No, I don't think so. Let's see. No, I don't think so. No, 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 no. Please go through all the options, all the parts very carefully. You should always try to get the broad framework. Framework is very important. Continuity of thought, framework, very important. Yes, who is this? Sinha has got it right. He is the first one. Very good. I'll write here. When Japan and South Korea normalized relations in 1965, Park Chung-hee, South Korea's dictator, got a good deal. He got a good deal. What was that? There should be some justification. Based on that particular line, based on those lines, the writer will present information. You have to think on those lines. What was good? It was got a good deal. Then it becomes easy. Once you get the first one, second, third, they become easy. In this, for this particular jumble, they are easy. Very good, Sai Arvind. Second one, what was the good deal? It has to be in terms of finance. It should be in terms of providing the research and R&D, providing the manpower, technical know-how, all these things. The $800 million in soft loans and grants is secured from the Japanese government. Here it talks about he got a good deal from whom? From the Japanese government. Crystal clear. So, what was good in that deal? The 800 million US dollars in soft loans and grants is secured from Japanese. Again, one more clue for you. In place of a noun, pronoun. So, B is the next one. He secured from the Japanese government and the Japanese investment that followed. Continuity of thought. Very good. Sai Kumar. BEBF and the Japanese investment that followed fueled an economic engine that would go on to yield annual GDP growth of more than 7% on average for the next 5 decades. BFC, very simple. After that, Richard Katz, an economist at the Carnegie Council for Ethics in International Affairs, has found what? On what basis? Based on data from the World Bank that South Korea's GDP per person measured At purchasing power parity (PPP), exchange rates surpassed went beyond Japan's in 2018. Obviously, DA1 group. Here, E is the opening sentence, he got a good deal. Then BFC talks, those three parts talk about the good deal. Then on what, who found that, on what basis? DA. Not that difficult in my opinion. Let us go to one more exercise quickly. Fillers. These fillers are easy today. We have 9 minutes. You have to respond quickly. No frills airports are those which have only infrastructure to handle aircraft. No frills airports are those which have only no infrastructure, construct infrastructure, any basic extravagant. Extravagant, you have to think of lavish, spendthrift, they go with expenses, how you spend money. An easy one. No frills airports means simple airports with the basic infrastructure. No frills airports are those which have only basic infrastructure to handle aircraft. Perfect. Easy one. She was careful with money and would keep account of the petty cash in a diary. This is also an easy one. One reading you should be able to answer. She was careful with money and would keep account of the petty cash in a diary. Go to the second one, second filler. Yes, no frills account, basic savings bank deposit account. Who is this? Prithviraja, you're right. It's here, it talks about money. We have to use a possessive pronoun, and money we have to use its. And do remember, possessive pronouns never take an apostrophe. That's an important rule you have to remember. India intends to import skill training to 402 million people over the next 5 years, and them in sectors like construction and retail. This is also an easy one. Employs, deploy, hired, pay, occupied. This you got to read a little carefully. Very good. Here, India intends to import and to deploy. To is understood. To import and deploy them. To deploy, it is understood. Deploy, very good. Position. The philanthropist donated a well on the that everyone would draw water, fine, from it, and that it would belong to the whole village. Donated, usually we donate money, but this is the context is entirely different. I had to take a pause. Donated what? A well from where you can draw water. Excuse me. This is based on a standard phrase. What is a standard prepositional phrase? On the condition, no second thoughts, on the condition that, that's a standard expression, a standard phrase. This is also an easy one. I had systematically planned my weekend trip. I was at a loss when he asked me to work on the weekend instead. It talks about a contrasting situation. Contrasting situation, obviously, you have to choose a word that expresses a contrast. There are two words, but based on the context, you have to choose one of them. What does this who mean? Philanthropist means a person who thinks of the welfare of others, usually rich people when they have a lot of money. Thinking of the welfare of others, they contribute, they donate. Those who donate, we use a term philanthropist. Here, until goes with time, still again related to time concept as reason, despite contrasting word, but we cannot use the word despite in this context. Though is a right word. The last slide, enrichment point of view, editorial vocabulary. Try to answer quickly. We still have about 3 minutes. Should be able to finish off in 3 minutes. Today there is no, that is the reason, 3 days break. Only the Hindu have been doing. No sessions on when it comes to unacademic classes. From tomorrow, I'm going to inform you guys. Today, this is only session. Feb 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, 3 days, I have been doing only the Hindu editorial analysis. All of the sessions I had to cancel. I cancelled, in fact. Amid means what? In the middle of. You can write the part of speech later. Perspective, a point of view. Fatigue could be physical exertion or mental exertion. So, where is this? Extreme tiredness. Underscore, to emphasize the importance of something. Underscore. Magnitude, the great size or extent. Calamity, a disaster. We have got many a time. These you have to get all the 10 correct at any cost. Secular, not connected with religious or spiritual aspects. Accelerate, to speed up. Credible information, believable, convincing. You can also use the word convincing. Expertise, expert skill in a particular field. All the 10 familiar, easy, you have got so many times. So you have to get all the 10 correct. That's all from this editorial for today. Hope you guys have got enriched. Have a nice day. And tomorrow I'm going to publish my schedule. I'm going to have 4 sessions. Some of them are very useful. All of you, please listen. I will just take a minute. I'm starting a new course tomorrow, that is SSC, SSC, CHSL, CGL, complete course for 4 months. I'm also starting 200 grammar rules. Someone has been asking, sir, 200 grammar rules. Yes, Arun, please listen. I'm starting tomorrow 200 grammar rules. So here, 200 grammar rules, but not on this platform. I'm starting on Unacademy platform, and to access, I'll be providing the link every day. You should use my referral code Murthy10. I'm going to provide the link. Besides, do remember to use my referral code Murthy10. And I'm starting tomorrow 200 grammar rules on Unacademy platform. I hope the message is clear. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. I will see you guys tomorrow. And do remember to subscribe and share. Join the Telegram group. Someone asked, sir, how to join? You go to the description of the video. There's a link. Click on the link, and I will provide the PDF. I will try to do that. I will try to do that, Prithvi Raja. I know I have been waiting for that particular segment. You all know many students have been asking, sir, please start banking classes. For the last 3 4 months they have been asking, but right now I belong to the SSC stream. Now time has come. I would like to do something for those who are aspiring for bank exams. Thank you.